Hi, this is Nick Bonanno with National Credit Federation, and this is part 2 of choosing the right domain name. In part 1, we talked about keywords, doing some research, and doing some brainstorming. In this video, part 2, we're going to talk about some of the do's and don'ts, the marketing strategy, and how that can affect which domain name you should get, and also go through a few domain examples. And then in the next video, part 3, we're going to actually get a domain name. So let's get started with the do's and don'ts. The domain name that you choose should be easy to say, easy to spell, and easy to remember. You don't want to get a domain name that is difficult to say, difficult to spell, or difficult to remember. This is the test when I talk to some consultants about picking the right domain name. An easy test is just to pretend that you're trying to tell someone your domain name over the phone. If it's difficult, then it's probably not a good domain name. If it's easy to tell them over the phone, then it's probably a pretty good domain name. .com. I would recommend getting a domain name with .com unless you're working with somebody who is very tech savvy. Most people just assume that since it's a business, it ends in .com. .net, .org are okay, but I would really recommend a .com. I would say to avoid the .me, .us, .tv, those other extensions. You don't need them; they're not necessary, and I think that they aren't as good as a .com. So, .com. You want to avoid using FICO, for example, in your domain. We've had a couple reps receive nice, friendly letters from the Fair Isaac Company telling them to stop using their name, their trademark name in the domain name. So, as a general rule, just avoid anything that's trademarked or has a copyright. So, just had to say it. Now, your marketing strategy. This is where it can plays into the domain name that you want to purchase. Are you going to be doing most of your marketing locally? Are you going to stick to your local market, do a lot of networking with people that you already know in your local area? Do you want to just keep it that way, or do you want to do a little bit more widespread over the nation? That can really affect the domain name you get. Because if you're going to be local, like say I just wanted to do the credit repair in Tampa, a domain name like Tampa Credit Repair, one is more likely to be available, and two will have a lot more pull locally. But however, it'll have less pull in Atlanta or Seattle or Los Angeles than a more generic domain name. Finally, you want to think about what kind of advertising you're going to be doing. This goes back to what I said in the very first video. Just get something. Because as long as you are handing out business cards, sending out flyers, or sending out emails, people are going to go where you tell them to, on your card or on your flyer in your email. They're just going to type it in. The one catch in that is if you're going to be doing a lot of radio advertising, because it's going to be audible and only audible, and it has to be very easy to say, very easy to spell, and very easy to remember. But this also goes back to part 1 where I mentioned that if you get a domain name now, you test it out, you do some stuff, you see that this is very successful, and then you do want to spend a lot of money on advertising through radio, then you can just get another domain name, because domain names are cheap, they're very plentiful, and they're very easy to get set up. So that's something to keep in mind. Right here are a few actual domain name examples that are currently being used by several of our consultants today, and I kind of want to just point out a couple to just kind of show you a little bit what I'm talking about. Things like Denver Credit Repair. I mean, imagine this in a bus stop in Denver. I mean, easy to say, easy to spell, easy to remember. I'm in Denver, I need credit repair. Okay, type in denvercreditrepair.com. I mean, that is a great one to have on a billboard. Now, this won't be a great one to have in a billboard in Tampa, but in Denver it'll work really well. And as in a generic example, Legal Credit Aid is another one. It's got the legal in there, credit aid. It tells you what it is. It's legal. It's a good domain name, short, sweet, easy to spell, easy to say, easy to remember. Now I want to point out this one, repairmycreditforme.com. Now imagine telling somebody that over the phone. Repairmycreditforme.com. Are they going to type in credit F-O-R-me, or are they going to type in the digit 4? Something to remember, something to think about. So these are just some good examples. Press pause, take a minute, look through them, write the ones down. Use these to kind of help spur your brainstorming and come up with a good domain. So that's it for part 2, and then in part 3 we're actually going to get a domain name. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you in part 3.